Hey yo, welcome to another edition of Hey Yo with D. Shelton. I am the host of this podcast show, whatever you want to call it, Del Rico Shelton. As always, we are sponsored, by Rose Sweets LLC. That's Rose Sweets LLC, the best cupcakes and cake pops in the DMV area. Small based business out of Southern Maryland. You can reach them at row_sweets_ LLC on both Facebook and Instagram. Row is spelled RO. You can also contact them at rollsweetsllc@gmail.com. And as you saw for the graphics, once again, thank you for Riverside.fm for allowing me to show this face and give this voice to the people. If you want to look at Riverside.fm, see what they got, just go ahead. Click on, not click on, but go to Riverside.fm if you want to do this podcasting thing. Please like, share, and subscribe to Hey Yo with D. Shelton. Once again, 3 words: like, share, subscribe. I definitely like talking to you all. Also, hit that little notification bell because when I speak, I got a lot to say. So you can get all the updates of when I speak. And guess what, y'all? Your boy has a website now. Yes, I have a website with all my episodes on it. It is www.heyyodShelton. And Hey Yo D Shelton is HEYYO like Oscar, D like David, S like Sam, HEL like Larry, T like Tom, ON like Nancy.com. If you want to go ahead and help your boy out, on that website there is a little button. It's called Donate. You click that button, you give me $1, 50 cents, whatever. Also on the website, it will give you a emailing list, soon to be newsletter. And once again, like I said, you can scroll through all my episodes, whether it be sports, politics, or life, and you can just hear what I got to say. Website is kind of fun. It's new. More to come on that said website as well. How y'all doing? I know. I know. A lot of stuff is going fast and furious. As I'm recording this, it's Friday, the 31st of January. And this month seems like it's been 84 years. I know. I know. For my sports people, another sports podcast will be coming. For this one, as I told you before, this is a sports and politics podcast. So on this one, we're going to get very political. I'm going to speak for facts. I'm going to speak from the heart. I'm going to try not to get emotional, as I got emotional the last podcast I did that I dealt with politics. For those that are Republican conservatives or MAGA, you know I don't like Doodoo Don, Agent Orange, Donald Trump. For my people on the left, or central, or independent, you know I do not like Doodoo Don, Agent Orange, Donald Trump. It's been basically 10 days as I'm recording this that this man has gotten into the White House, sitting, at, in the Oval Office, at the Resolute desk. And America is on complete fire. Now, I know a lot of his supporters and minions are just jumping up and down. But as I scroll through online, some news boards and things of that nature, I see a lot of people that voted for that man are not happy. And I ask these people right now, what did you expect? Black women, the 92%, the black men, basically the 80%, like me, we warned you. Oh, yes, we did. You didn't explain better. What else are we supposed to do? We can't hold your hand. Here's where research, and right now, that's a dirty word for MAGA and conservatives alike, because you all swear up and down. Do your research. Y'all don't read. At least not to really comprehend or understand. See, the thing about people like me, I read and look things up, even if it's the harsh truth. So I can at least be informed and come up with a rational idea or a rational thought to deal with said information. Once again, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. That's part of critical thinking skills. This is why I openly say I can't stand corporate Democrats. I can't. But that's part of critical thinking. And another thing, conservatives, Republicans, MAGA, Democrats will vote for a Republican if that Republican makes sense. Hence, former Governor Hogan of Maryland, which is really a blue state. And if I recall correctly, he had 2 terms. He lost that Senate race, though, because we weren't going to have that again. No. We can't trust him when it comes to litigation for the country. Governor Westmore of Maryland, first black man to become Maryland's governor, is doing an excellent job. Dare I say he might become the second black man to be president of the United States. What will, quiet as kept. Because I think Westmore's path, it's not going to be this, it's not going to be the next 4 years. No. I'm looking towards maybe 8. Because I think Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, may actually get that nod first. But I see Governor Westmore becoming a senator, then possibly going to become a candidate for president of the United States. But that's just me. Looking off in the distant future. Let's talk about the now. As I'm sitting here trying to collect thoughts and trying not to be vile in my delivery, I ponder on how did America get here? I have an idea. The Republican Party, the party of Ronald Reagan, even though those that listen to my podcast and things like that know I can't stand that man. I can't even go to say, may he rest in peace, because that man, truthfully speaking, is part of the reason why we are in the situation we are today, economically, for his trickle-down economics theory, his war on drugs, which really was a war against black people, who caused Bill Clinton to overstep his boundaries to sign a bill that incarcerated millions of black and brown and poor people. Tough on crime bill, da 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 da. And even though that bill, when Clinton was in office, was passed, everybody tends to forget that the Black Caucus actually approved that bill. But that's a different story for a different time. As I said, it's basically 10 days in Donald Trump's second term as president of the United States. And America's in a complete dumpster fire. Donald Trump, with a swipe of a pen, got rid of DEI in the federal government. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. As a black man born in America, it hurt and pissed me off because that's over 60 years of work that my elders did. My ancestors died and fought for. But when you break it all down, white women use that more than anybody else. Truthfully speaking, because they are considered a minority group. So, Karen and Nancy, your job is no longer protected. But you voted for that man. See, there's several different layers to this, and DEI is a new CRT, which CRT was another thing for thug, and thug was another way of saying the N word with the hard ER. All together, you think black. No, and that's where you're wrong. Because diversity means a broad spectrum of people that are qualified. Equity means the length of time that you're at your job, which means you get pay raises. You get what you deserve as money wise. Inclusion means everybody is sitting at the table discussing ideas, you know, to better said business, opportunities, everything of that ilk. For you dumb, no, let me stop. For you low intelligent, nope, let me correct myself. For you stupid people, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, stupid. Do you realize that DEI also affects veterans that came from the military and are disabled people? But all you see is black because Republicans and Doodoo Don, Agent Orange, Donald Trump pulled the dog whistles out, and there it is. You know, the one demographic that you all do not even remotely think of is that the reason DEI is in place is for unqualified, mediocre white men have to work to get those positions. In other words, if you are a straight white male, all you had to do was really show up. And basically, you got the job. With a strike of a pen, Donald Trump got rid of 60 plus years of work that my elders and ancestors fought for. See, and this goes to all communities, all demographics. The way this country works against its own interests is astounding to me. It really is. America promised no matter what creed, color, religion that you have an opportunity. But with a strike of a pen, it goes back to the opportunities are for straight white men. That's what it's about. When Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk told y'all that you are lazy and uneducated, he was speaking directly to mediocre. Were speaking to directly to mediocre white men, and y'all couldn't take it because the mirror's in your face. You're looking at yourself. It's decisions you made that got you here. People tend to forget that in HBCUs, you can use it. White people can use affirmative action to get into the HBCUs. Y'all don't even think about that, do you? Asian community, you never thought about that, did you? Asian community, how's that enrollment in Ivy League schools after you helped white supremacy? Because you thought that you were smarter than black people, black students, I should say. Basically, black students have stayed the same and your enrollment has dropped. Go figure. That's another story from a different time. See, once again, I'm going to keep saying, with a strike of a pen, Project 2025 is in full effect. But you thought black women and black men and we were just fear mongering. No, it's happening. And it's your fault. The ones that sat home because of the Palestinian issues, definitely because of Gaza. And my heart goes out for those people. But I argued this on TikTok and other places. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I forgot. Hey yo, exclamation point, D Shelton on TikTok. That how can we help them over there when we're burning here? You can't help somebody unless you help yourself. Electing Kamala Harris would have did that. The woman who's wanted a ceasefire, or the man who wants Netanyahu to finish the job. I'm not going to name names on TikTok and other platforms. You don't deserve that. But another thing we always say, what was the end game? Did you have a plan afterwards? Hey, people that was all over the journey. If you vote for Kamala Harris, don't come to my community. How's that feel? How's that working for you now? Once again, America is a dumpster fire. I said for 20 years on this podcast, on my last podcast with my partner, way back when the presentation online introduces Talking Ish with my boy Marshall Parsons. Yes, Marshall is my best friend. He's still in my life. And eventually we're going to get that ball rolling. And more likely that ball will come on my website. Once again, cheap plug. Hey, www.heyyodShelton.com. It's amazing to me how America votes against its own interests and does everything it can to fuck up. It's like this country wants to destroy itself, which I don't understand why. There is opportunity here. You have to work for it. Hint, hint, mediocre white men and subordinate as white women. It's amazing to me. Not only did Donald Trump cause a ruckus with that, with some more executive orders, he pretty much put a halt excuse me, to federal grants, loans, and benefits. Do y'all realize how many people need those benefits? The SNAP benefits, the EBT, the housing vouchers. Oh, with a swipe of the pen, he tried to cause that, but thank goodness for a DC federal judge, Lauren Akan, temporarily halted that. You see, what I'm getting at is this. That man's always been dangerous. He's trying to bully people into submission. He's trying to stoke fear in everybody. So, with two things with fear, either you're going to succumb to the fear and sit down, or you're going to fight. At this point, you got to fight. There's no other choice but to fight. Why? Because if you don't, we would actually have a dictator slash king, and it will keep going and keep going and keep going until you have no right. See, Republicans, you love to use the word against that good old word communism, and they look to China. And as people are finding out through Red Note and other apps, China is way ahead of United States when it comes to infrastructure and technology, even food. And Americans are like, what the fuck? Yeah, because legacy media and these people that we elect keep us in a bubble. The world is becoming globalized vastly, quickly, by the second. But no, America. No, 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 no. There's a reason why America is interfering with China, talking to Mother Africa and other places. Africa could actually have its own Wakanda soon. I might not be allowed to see it, but I can see it coming. China's reaching over. See, what I've realized is that in this world, if you don't extend your hand, then how can you get ahead? And I want you to understand the word communism. This is according to, some political ideology, but I want to define it for you. Communism is a political theory derived from Karl Marx, advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid accordingly for their abilities and needs. What does that sound like to you? Publicly owned, which means everybody has a part in how things work. I'm not a communist. No, no, no. I am not. But that's what China is. Let me help you out a little bit more with communism. Communism. This is another type of, you know, another type of definition. Communism is a social, political, philosophical, and economic ideology within the socialist movement, whose goal is the creation of a communist society, a socio-economic order centered around common ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange that allocates products to everyone in society based on need. A communist society would entail the absence of private property and social classes, and ultimately money and the state. In other words, it's another fancy word for kind of sort of socialism. But America has went on the warpath and said no, because we live in American and capitalist society. Is communism? I am not a communist. Once again, I am not. But I want you to understand the broad spectrum of what you're seeing over in China. Everybody is basically contributing to the whole. This is why in China they don't have the taxes we do in America. This is why their food is cheaper there than America. Do you all realize that once a person, they pay taxes on their house one time, and once they finish their mortgage, it's their house. There's nothing else to pay. Whereas in America, you got property tax, liens, all sorts of bullshit. Because of how they work in that government, in that society, that's how they're able to do. That's why when they lose their job and they still have their house, they still have their house. Lose your job in America and see what happens. But we live in a capitalist society, which means the more money you make, the more things you can buy instead of looking for the little guy. What I'm getting at with that part of it is, with a strike of a pen, he tried to eliminate every program to help you get ahead until that wonderful judge blocked it. There was an uproar a couple of days ago that at 5 p.m. people would not get their SNAP benefits and grants and loans, even to Head Start programs, wouldn't get their funding, which would have thought millions of Americans in a tailspin. People depend on that for food, for shelter, some just to fucking live. And I see senators and congressmen on the Republican side pretty much hinting that kids should get a job. Newsflash, not every 13 or 14 years. This is not the 80s, man, where you can get a paper route. What's a fucking paper route now? When you can click on your phone or your laptop or your tablet and get all the news right there that's in the damn paper. Do you know it's hard for a teenager to go to a fast food place and get a job? Let's say this. Let's say McDonald's, for example. The average McDonald's may have, I would say, probably about 50 employees, truthfully. Dealing with the chefs, the food, the cooks, managers, blah, 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 blah. So you're going to have teenagers in these environments. Not saying they can't do it, but it's limited. You see where I'm getting at? They want to program you to work your whole goddamn life and die. But with a strike of a pen, he almost did that. The SNAP benefits. Let me explain something. And I know Ronald Reagan painted that picture of the welfare queen, a black woman. That's far from the case. White women, single white women to be exact, have used that program way more than anybody else in 50 years. And the program actually was stolen from the Black Panther Party, who gave free breakfast and lunches to kids, no matter what color, creed, or religion. Because statistics show, and that's proof, that when a kid has a full stomach, they learn better. So in other words, you want the child to go hungry and their ability to learn hurts because they're hungry, which could cause stupidity or lack of comprehensive and critical thinking skills. This is what we're up against, people. It's deeper than that, man. I said in the podcast last time I was speaking politics, hey man, TikTok is more than an app. It's your First Amendment. They're playing with it. Both Republican and corporate Democrats. And speaking of corporate Democrats, where are you? You're tweeting. I see Hakeem Jeffries, you know, saying what he's saying. But your message is hollow. The Democratic Party has a very big problem. Their messaging really sucks. I think the Democratic Party needs a Mitch McConnell type of dude that really don't give a damn. If you want to play dirty, let's go in the mud. That's what the Democratic Party needs. Not this corporate shit. Because let's be real, both sides of the aisle do a whole lot of fucking inside trading. This is why I always said there should be no money in politics, but they're never going to vote on that. It lines their pockets up. This is why when all this stuff is happening, the biggest voices I have heard is AOC and Jasmine Crockett. AOC is on TikTok. She knows how to use it. Jasmine Crockett knows how to get her message across. She's going cross country with stuff. It's amazing to me that corporate Democrats don't get it. It's time for them to leave and let Jasmine Crockett, the AOCs and Jasmine Crockett to go ahead and take over this thing so their messaging of what they're doing and what they have already done can get to the people. It's like corporate Democrats like, we're going to do this and don't say what they've done. Therefore, the game carries on. I think the people that's in MAGA, they are lost. They're gone. There is a chance for you to get the slightly right-leaning people to come over to the left side if your messaging is sound and precise. Since we only have a two-party system, which I think is old and antiquated, I think there should be a part of the Democratic Party that's, I'm not going to say be MAGA, but have a progressive style of movement that they're like, nah, ain't nothing going to get done unless we get heard. Because MAGA is pretty much not the Democratic Party. MAGA is pretty much the Republican Party. Like I said earlier, the party of Ronald Reagan is dead. It's extremism, lies, and bullshit. And now that they have basically, I'm speaking of Republicans, the House, the Senate, the executive branch, and basically the Supreme Court, you got to fight now. Your messages must be sound, precise, and harsh. Enough of that coach speak shit. Get buck with it. This motherfucker here has done this. We want to do this. Make it plain and simple. All that beating around the bush to get a message and your message, no. The American people deserve straightforwardness. This holding your hand, no. You can't do that no more. This ain't the time. It's really not the time. Because we are in a fight dealing with morality and getting shit done. Because ain't nothing's going to get done, at least for the next 2 years. And I think Democrats are banking on, corporate Democrats, that the American people are going to get so hard up and not them that we just going to take over the house again. No, you should be doing this shit right now. The long-term plan should be right now. And Democrats never have long-term planning. Never. They're reactionary, which I've always had a problem with. And because of the actions of 45-47, Doodoo Don, Agent Orange, Donald Trump, we're in this predicament. This man's unhinged. Do y'all realize we're also with a swipe of a pen? He got rid of the FAA director, leadership in the Coast Guard, amongst others. And because of that, there was a horrific accident in Washington, D.C. I know you all have seen it, where a Black Hawk helicopter hit a commercial plane, killing 67 people. They're still trying to find the bodies in the Potomac River. Once again, I say it again, I live in Washington, D.C. And everything's in the flux right now, especially on the bridges and tunnels, 3rd Street Tunnel particularly. Traffic is flowing, but it's different. The air in the city is different. And I know MAGA and Republicans, why you make it political? He did this when he came on a press conference, and instead of saying I'm sorry for the loss, we're going to find out what happened thoroughly, he blamed DEI and disabled people instead of looking within and finally taking responsibility for something that he helped cause. Now, am I going to blame him 100%? No, because it was an accident, a tragic accident. That means human error. But I will blame him because reports are coming out that those maneuvers that the Black Hawk was doing, one person was trying to direct it, which is a two-man job. See, what people don't realize is that he put a hiring freeze on, with the strike of a pen again, on getting more traffic controllers. He did that. So yes, he caused it. If we had a FAA director, I don't know, just maybe hypothetically, supposedly, possibly, this could have been avoided. Because the FAA director would have had the proper staff to go ahead and, do these maneuvers. It's a military maneuver. One person cannot handle the job because, the sky's a big place. So you need extra eyes. 67 people lost their life, and he blames DEI. What does DEI and has anything to do with? If anybody actually looked at how the traffic controller things work, you actually have to have 20/20 vision to be up there, because you have to see everything. And he said something erroneous for his MAGA followers, his cult, to get up in arms. Yeah, DEI. No, 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 no. He's the cause of it. Because if you look at, the disabled people that's in the FAA, those are basically office jobs. There's nothing out in the field. They're office jobs. Traffic controllers are not office jobs. Those are people that are pretty much clerical work. But his cult not going to see it that way. It's his fault. directly and indirectly, if I'm making sense, which I know I am. But MAGA's not going to understand it, so it's going to go over their head. There's a whole timeline of it, of what had happened. I'm not going to read all of it, but I want you to go to NBC.com, right? I'm sorry, not NBC.com. I'm sorry. I want you to go to Newsweek. There's a Newsweek article published yesterday, and the title is "Timeline of Donald Trump's Impact on FAA Prior to the DC Plane Crash." I need y'all to look at that, because honestly, that's the reason. America's on fire. Do y'all realize that the Latino community that voted for this man is up in arms because they thought that he was coming just for criminals? See, when people tend to be simple minded and think criminals are people that rob, kill, and steal, no, he considers you a criminal because you came over the border illegally. It's a funny thing that's going online right now of a white couple, of the white woman especially, said, and they asked the question, if Jesus was to come to America, would you accept it? And the woman said, if he had the proper paperwork, and that right there said it all. The Latino community and actually Native Americans are fearful that they have to constantly carry their papers saying they're American citizens so ICE doesn't detain them. Ain't that crazy? There's something floating around right now, and I could be wrong, that they're trying to figure out, are Native Americans American? What? You colonized and stole their land. What? That's crazy talk. But let me get back to the situation with the DC crash. The crash, man, the resignation of Mike Whitaker, right? He was the FAA director, but under pressure by Elon Musk because he kept getting fined for his rocket ships because they were unsafe. That's why I said truthfully he resigned, but really he was fired. It's a big cause of it. Why it matters, and this is part of the article that I'm just going to read to you by Kate Dalimpinski. Once again, it's through Newsweek as of January 30th. I'm just going to read a couple paragraphs. Why it matters. The FAA is responsible for overseeing air traffic control operations and ensuring aviation safety across the United States. The collision raised concerns of how staffing shortages and administrative changes may have impacted the air traffic management at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. I'm black, so we just call it DCA. We don't say Ronald Reagan because, once again, we can't stand that dude. Now, what to know? An internal FAA report found that staffing in the airport's air traffic control tower was not normal for the day and volume of traffic, according to the New York Times. A single controller was responsible for handling both helicopters and airplanes, tasks that are typically divided between two controllers. Need I say more? So if we had the proper staffing and two people were there, this may have been avoided. Once again, human error. It's an accident. But you get my drift. Let me talk to you about one other thing. Do y'all realize it's not easy being black in America? We have a choice right now to either buy or boycott. Let me explain. Then this goes back to Doodoo Don, Agent Orange, Donald Trump. With the strike of a pen, the DEI was gone. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but knowing Donald Trump, it is. Black History Month would not be celebrated or discussed in federal buildings. That means Women's Month, Hispanic Month, so on and so forth. And because of the policies and fear, corporations like Walmart and now Target have either taken away the DEI programs or rolled it back to the point that DEI is almost null and void in these stores. And there may be a nationwide boycott of Target on February 1st. Here's why I'm torn with it. Because I'm gonna explain why I'm torn with this part of it. There's a lot of black businesses that get distributed through Target. Now, with the rolling back of this DEI, a lot of those black businesses may not get another contract for distribution. But while they're there, I want everybody, including Latinos, buy black or Latino, because there's some Latino products there, and buy them off the shelf to the point that they have to restock. If they don't want to restock, then that affects their bottom line. See, corporations only understand one thing, and that's how to make a profit. And if a product is in demand, they will go get said product, which actually helps that business. That's what I'm talking about. Now, listen to Andrew Gillum on the podcast Neighborland Pod with he himself, Angela and Tiffany Cross. He pointed something that I completely forgot. If these products are good, they should have their own website distribution, things like that. So you can buy it from them directly, which is absolutely true. But I also know that a lot of these products also come through Amazon, another company that rolled back their DEI. You see what I'm getting at? See, there's got to be a strategy. The reason why the Montgomery bus boycott worked is because they had a strategy. And historical documents say that really it was just 10%. It wasn't everybody. It was 10%. But at the same time, that boycott lasted a year. So that affected the money. And then things changed. My question to my black people, are you ready to be inconvenienced to the point that you have to make other arrangements? See, I live in Washington, D.C. It's very hard to find a black grocery store, a pure black grocery store. They're around, but you have to drive a ways. Luckily, I have a car, so I can get to said store. Is it inconvenience? Yes. But how about the person that does not have a car? Are you willing to pick up your neighbor to drive them wherever that store is? See, so they can have their groceries. And also, if you live in a rural area, um, and Target and Walmart is all you have, what are they supposed to do? Starve? So are you willing to take your neighbor to said store that's out of your way? See, way back when they did that, it was inconvenience for black people because they walked in the rain, sleet, and snow. And there was also carpooling. Are you willing to do that for your neighbor? I know I would. I know I definitely would. Are you? That's where I'm torn on because there are black businesses that are distributed in Walmart and Target and others. Now, Costco is saying, fuck that. We keeping our DEI. And if I recall this, like if I read this correctly, I want to say 19 attorney generals are trying to sue Costco's to get rid of their DEI program. That's dangerous. A company has the right to do whatever they want. So you're going to try to sue them to get rid of a program, diversity, equity, and inclusion for their hiring practices. You're trying to sue them to get rid of it. So mediocre white men and subordinate ass white women can feel secure. In other words, you want straight white men to get these jobs instead of us getting into the room and proving that we're qualified for the job. See, I knew when I was a teenager, it didn't hit you when you're young, but like I said, my name is Del Rico. It's Spanish for of the rich. Or if you want to go French, of the king. So automatically when people see my application, they already think, even though I put the check mark African American / black, I know my application will get passed off. See, if you want that DEI to be gone, how about you get rid of anything race or religion off the applications? Including, since we have a convicted felon in the White House, have you been convicted of a felony? Because the background check going to show it anyway, so why is that even there? Will you see how dangerous everything that I explained in this episode? You see how it correlates to one another? And the main cause of it is Doodoo Don, Agent Orange, Donald Trump. So for my black people that's listening to me right now, if you are boycotting these establishments, I am with you. But you got to also think of and have a strategy for said boycott. Remember also, there's a lot of elderly and minorities, including black people, that works in these stores. So if they're losing money, corporations will let people go. No one's thinking about that. No profit, they let people go. This is why I said be strategic in how you boycott this one. If I'm going to shop in Target or Walmart, find a list of what black products are actually sold in said stores and buy black. If you're Latino, buy Latino. If you want to cross race stuff, do that. Black people buy Latino, Latino buy black. But there has to be a supreme strategy in place. We can't boycott just because we're angry. We have to boycott because we're thinking of the future. See, when emotions are high, logic is low. Let me say that again. When emotions are high, logic is low. We can't be emotional. We must think logical to boycott these stores. Find out what they have in said store that are black or Latino. If you're a Latino community, listen to me. But I'm speaking specifically for my black people, but you get the picture. Here's a blueprint. Me personally. Find out what is in the store that is a black owned business. If you have to shop at that store, buy that product so they can still be in business, the black owned business. Possibly get another contract because their products is going off the store, off the shelves. It forces Target to open up more opportunities for black business. Therefore, DEI will go ahead and come back that way. Or you find the distribution system for said black owned business product and go directly to the source. Now, if that black owned business says, hey, I can get it to you, but it's probably going to be shipped through Amazon, you see, still go through it, even though Jeff Bezos is going to get his money, but you're still buying the black owned. It forces corporations to say, wait a minute, this black owned business product is going off the shelves. We can't keep up with the demand of it. What was the program that we got rid of? We need more of this. So if this company is here, what other company is similar that we can get their product in the store so we can make money? They only understand money. This is business. And the one thing I learned about business is that business, their color is green. So you got to hit them where it hurts. Now, if you're going to do a national boycott, don't do it and say, fuck it. We got the distribution. We know how to get the products to us. Cool. So you're going to do it that way? I'm totally fine with that. Fuck Target, fuck Walmart. Cool. No matter what. As long as you got the product in straight from the horse's mouth. Pretty much straight to the black owned business. Cool. We got it. I'm with it. How long do you want the boycott to last? Because it can't be a day. That ain't shit. As our elders did, it was for a year. How long you want the boycott to last? Because if you last for a year, businesses will change their tune real quick. Because then stores, once again, those stores will shut down, people lose their jobs. But you got the picture. You can't do it for a day. It has to be long term. In order for corporations to understand, that's why I say those two things have to happen. Either you buy the product in the store and they can't keep up with demand, so they have to increase getting black owned product into their store. Therefore, arbitrarily, they're going to revisit the DEI and get more black products in the store. Or you go to the black business directly, get said product, and boycott Target and Walmart for a long period of time. Ta-da. That's the only way it's going to work. Not for a day, not for two, not for a week. It has to be long term. Speaking of long, I've talked long enough. So I'm about to be out. Once again, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Rose Sweets LLC. Rose Sweets LLC for the best cupcakes and cake pops in the DV area. You can look them up at row_sweets_LLC on both Facebook and Instagram. And row is spelled RO. Well, let me add something else to it that I never really did. Rose Sweets is a black-owned business, by the way. Female black-owned at that. I threw that nugget out. So, I practice what I preach. Also, thank you for Riverside.fm for giving me the platform to give this face and this voice to the masses. You can look them up, Riverside.fm, if you want to get into the podcasting business. And once again, your boy has a website now, www.heyyodShelton.com. And hey yo is spelled H like Harry, E, Y like yellow, Y like yellow again, O like Oscar, D like David, S like Sam, H like Harry, E like Edward, L like Larry, T like Tom, O once again, N like Nancy.com. Click it. You will get every episode that I've ever done. So you can go back and listen to old shit. Also, on that website, there is a little button there for donations. It'll say, once you click that button, I forgot to mention this earlier, it'll say, buy me a coffee. Little cute thing I did. Because brother do like his coffee. And yes, I will be looking for black-owned coffee shops to get my coffee before I go to work. I gotta find something close, though. Please also like, share, and subscribe to Hey Yo with D. Shelton. By the way, you can go on the website and click on the link and subscribe to either my link on Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. Forgot to mention that earlier. So please like, share, subscribe. Hit the little bell for notifications of when I give you this voice in its face to the masses. And yes, it will be coming hot and heavy. More than likely, as a little house cleanup, when the UFL season starts every Sunday, I would be dropping an episode. That's the sports part of it. But more than likely, I'm debating on should I do it on Wednesday or Friday. I'm leaning towards Fridays to give you all the information that happened during that week when it comes to politics and life shit in general. So expect two. Definitely after Sunday for the UFL season and with football. And more than likely, like I said, Friday, I'm leaning towards Friday, but it's probably going to be Wednesday. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Wednesday, possibly, but more than likely, I'll be dropping episodes on Friday as well. All right. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you all once again for listening to Hey Yo with D. Shelton. Once again, website, www.heyyodShelton.com. Click on it, scroll through, see all my episodes. And also you can find Hey Yo with D. Shelton on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, or whatever you get your podcast from. Thank you once again for listening to me. And as always, to end it, may Father and the ancestors take care of you, your loved ones, and anybody else you care about.